transport internationally. So for you to go from one state to another state in a seamless way with, the same patterns, the same rules, etc. That's what we do. We have more than 12,000 binding standards that we apply to 193 states around the globe. So it's a big family, and it's a lot of work on safety, on security, on economic development, on environment. So what we are going to do today here is this morning I have the privilege to moderate the session. We will really focus on local experiences on the deployment and development of sustainable aviation SAF, including low carbon aviation fuel CAF. And as we gather more insights on feedstock options, we also want to take a closer look at the processes towards the development of such fuels with a focus on, what is your local experience in doing that. So I as you know, those that were here yesterday know that I like to be more practical. I think when we gather together in such an event, it's such an opportunity for us to then talk about how we can do things better. What are the difficulties that we have been having, and how could we address? And there's nobody better than those that are hands-on. We say hands on the deck to tell us what are your difficulties and what are your wish list, to do things better. What would facilitate you to really do? You are doers. You're the one implementing over there. So let us know your difficulties, and if what could help on our regulatory side, on a more practical. Sometimes small things can help so much. If you speed up some processes, that can help so much. So let's have this frank conversation so that we can then do better. And inshallah, a few recommendations from this panel at the end that can be looked after when the strategy for Oman on fuels will be further improved. Okay, so I'm very happy to have with me four of my five speakers. I have with me Nabil Al-Balushi from Petroleum Development Oman. I have with me Mr. Maher Al-Ham Wakud, converting waste into high quality fuel. I have Karam Kinji from 44-1, working on carbon removals, and Ahmed Absaidi from Sultan Qaboos University, SKU. And I apologize, I have a very bad Aran. So if my pronunciation was bad, I profoundly apologize. We are still waiting one of the speakers. I will introduce as soon as the speaker arrives. So on that, what I would like to do, because I'll leave them to share whatever they are doing, because they are the best place in doing so. But before they share their excellent work in their respective scopes and their area of impact, I would like to spend a minute to share a little bit more what ICAO is doing on in that area. And we talk about four areas that we are working in ICAO. The first one is something that's very important, which is the development of globally accepted environmental standards. These days, if we want to produce something, we need to have some certitudes, the environmental regulation, because otherwise you can start a business and then next day someone comes, nice, but instead of 5, you should have had 10 that unit, because of the environmental concerns. And if that's a concern locally, you can imagine in an international activity as aviation, if each of 193 states start putting sustainability criteria, so you produce, but you cannot sell because the other one doesn't accept. So this is one of the things that we have done through an international offsetting scheme called CORSIA for aviation. So for us to have that scheme, we have introduced something that was a policy that would accept as to the commitment from an airline, the use of sustainable fuels. But to do that, you have to have 1 ton of emissions. It's what in SAF, LCAF? Well, how do you do that? So we put a criteria, put entire conversion process to say, this is the ton to ton here. Those are the conversion processes. This is the criteria, etc. So it's a big regulation. That's one of the things we do for SAF and for LCAF. So we have specifics for those. The second one is policies and goals. You have to know where the North Star is, where you're going with all of that, what is your future, etc. And we developed also the regulation. So we have this amazing opportunity this year. We have been talking about a lot, AF3, which is this conference on alternative fuels that will be taking place in Dubai, UAE in November. And there we have that chance to put a policy framework that will help us, you, all of us, to reach the long-term aspirational goal. So for us to have a plan, we have to have a plan that makes sense. We have to have a policy that helps and not can impede the progress in the achieving the LTI. So everything else we do, and that will be very important. And in doing that policy, something that is paramount for us, we are not United Nations, is no country should be left behind. So it has to be a policy. So are not in the same starting line. We have this journey to net zero, but we are not starting in the same starting line. So some states will need more resources, more time, more knowledge, more capacity building. The solutions will be different, and we have to have a policy that allows for that inclusiveness. Okay? So the third is capacity building, and we have something called ACTSAF, which is assistance capacity building and training for sustainable aviation fuels that is ongoing, and that connects industry, states, financing organizations, academia. Everybody gets together there and exchange ideas. We do feasibility studies. There is some grants, some fundings for us to do something that helps states to do more. And of course, outreach and best practices. That's if you open the website today, you'll see all of that. I'll have a lot of things to say about that. We will have a presentation in panel 3 where I'll go through that with more calm, but for you to have this overview. And we have our last speaker. Welcome. Yes, amazing entrance, Dr. Al-Wati. Was that okay? Perfect. So we are complete now. I'm very pleased. And with that, we can call our first speaker. And allow me then to welcome Dr. Nabil Al-Balushi from Petroleum Development Oman, PDO, to share with us the opportunities and challenges associated with carbon capture, utilization, and storage from the PDO's experience. So, Dr. Nabil, the floor is yours. We will be looking forward to everything.
Good morning, salam alaikum. This is Nabil Al-Balushi from PDO. We have a team in PDO called the Low Carbon Solution Team, primarily focused on CCUS, that's carbon capture, utilization, and storage. And what I'm going to be doing today is a high level of things we're doing on the area of CCUS, but we're doing much more. And if you're really interested, I'm more than happy to sit aside later to discuss in the details. What exactly the technologies and processes to get the low carbon aviation fuel? It should not the aviation fuel, any fuels, right? And there are plenty of them. So we're talking about energy efficiency, especially in the power plants, how to generate the energy itself. We're talking about the flare management, reducing the flare, the methane, We're talking about the area of renewables. That's for the low carbon electricity. There's also the alternative fuel, such as hydrogen. It's impressive, the colors of the hydrogens. It took ages for us to understand it. But there's a blue, there's a green, there's a pink, and so on coming into the story. First ones of that, it's a carbon capture storage, which will be primarily my focus today. And one thing I would say, there's no one solution fit all. We really need to test everything together. And we sort of like saying all of them should be under what we call the integrated circular economy. So what you see on the bottom over here is exactly where the things are getting integrated. So you have your power, and we're trying to see the low carbon intensity power that we need. And those power then will go to the oil operations, which produce then the oil and so on, which goes to the refineries. So if you focus and try to reduce the emission from there, then it will help the oil operations, so we call low carbon crude. Then we'll go to the actual refinery, which produce then the low carbon fuel. On top of that, then we also have what you call them the capturing. So you can also capture the CO2 from all the operations, so make them as low as possible. And also we can also capture the CO2 from the air. So all of this somehow need to be connected all together through what we call them the integral economy to really get to the low carbon fuel. So if I zoom out now and see how we're doing from the country level, and I think we all know Oman has committed for net zero at 2050, by royal decree. And the thing is, the plan and the roadmap to reach the net zero was outlined in detail at COP27 last year in Sharm el-Sheikh by His Excellency Salam Al-Aufi. And you can see on the left figure over here, this is basically the emissions of CO2 in Oman. And we are like around more than 100 gigatons. And the idea is to reduce everything to 2050. Now, the technologies, the main two technologies that enable Oman to reach the net zero are the electrification or renewables, the battery electric technology that's gonna constitute up to 60% of the technology that enable Oman to reach the net zero. The third main technology that will help the country to reach the net zero is a carbon capture utilization, and the expectation can contribute all the way to 26% of the CO2 reductions. Hence, the CCUS is one of the main enabler technology for Oman to reach the net zero. So moving from Oman to PDO, so in PDO, we also align with the country to reduce the CO2 to zero by 2050, but we also have an aspiration goal. Our aspiration goal is to reduce the CO2 emission by 50% in 2030. It's an aspiration, and we're working for it. And in order to do that, we built what we call them the abatement staircase, right? Which I will discuss in a second. So you can see our emission in PDO in 2019 around 11 to 12 megaton. And we already been able to reduce the CO2 by 3 million in 2022. Now, going from 2022 to 2030, that's our aspiration of 50% reductions. We have a strong abatement staircase. It's a decarbonization project. Our decarbonization projects include the flare reductions, no routine flare reduction in PDO anymore in 2030. We're talking about renewables. PDO will have 50% renewable by 2030. And we also have other projects, like you see it on the right, we something called the NEMA reed beds. If you haven't seen it, you haven't heard it, we got a lot of already prize internationally. Please read about it. And if you want to visit, it's located in the deserts. That's all these projects that we have that will be integrated, and they will reduce the CO2 in 2030. However, there will remain a gap. And whatever you're going to do, this gap, we reduce it by those decarbonization projects. And here comes the CCUS. CCUS will be one of the main technologies that we will deploy in PDO to reach the aspiration of reduction of 50% 2030 and more all the way to 20. So it's not only the country, it's also the country itself. We're focusing on the carbon capture and utilization. So what's happening globally? So that was the country level, then there's a PDO level. So if I take a step back, what's happening around the globe? We do see a huge momentum around globally on the CCUS. And you could see how the projects of the CCUS is increasing. So in 2010, we have 12 projects, and you can see it almost doubled all the way to 30 in 2020. It's going all the way to 60 and so on. And if you zoom in, what are the projects happening around the globe in the Middle East? You can see Saudi Aramco been utilizing CO2 since 2015 by Othmania projects, followed by ADNOC in Abu Dhabi. They've been injecting a zero point 0.8. I think you heard, all of us heard the mega project that Saudi Aramco and the KSA already been announced. They will be storing CO2 of 9 megaton per annum. That's tremendous. It's one of the biggest in the world. So there's huge momentum, not internationally, but also in the Middle East. And hopefully, inshallah, we will put also Oman into the picture when it comes to the CCUS. So country have a clear vision, the company has a clear vision, and globally, there's a huge momentum on the area of the CCUS. So we've been talking a lot of CCUS. What are the main element of the CCUS? What are the main things constitute of that? And again, when I introduce the CCUS, I always going to introduce it from the area of the integrated circular economy. When I say the integrated circular economy, is basically moving from a linear carbon economy to circular carbon economy. And that's the 4 R's that we're talking about. It's basically reduce, reuse, recycle, and remove. The decarbonization projection before, it's really an umbrella of reduce, that was pretty much more the energy and flare reductions. So we come on the CCUS, the main element first is the capturing, right? So we can capture the CO2 from a point source. It could be a power plant in petrochemicals, or it could be a direct air capture, right? Then once we capture CO2, then we transport it and we're injecting. And we know when we're injecting it, there's 2 ways to do that. There's a spectrum of utilization and then storage. When I talk about spectrum of utilization, we talk about project recovery, enhanced gas recovery. We're also looking to chemicals like soda ash. We are really advanced on that domain. We also look into the even more from the perspective of construction material, like a cement, as an example. That's an under umbrella of utilizations. In the area of the storage, this is a permanently storing CO2 under the ground. And when I say permanently, we meant permanently. And we do have a spectrum of storage opportunities within PDO itself around the globe. We're talking about the storage like a depleted reservoir. We're talking about the storage of saline aquifer, which is our front runners. And we also have opportunities of mineral rocks. That could be the basalt and also the apholite. That's also the umbrella of the different storage type we have there. And integrating the story all together, it comes the blue hydrogen on the side, because a lot of the gas that we produce, there might be also an opportunity to use it to produce the blue hydrogens. And in order to make it blue, we need to capture the CO2 from the plant and inject it back. And that's the color going from gray to blue. So what you have, it's an integrated circular economy, capturing CO2, try to utilize it, try to store it, and try eventually use it for the low carbon fuels. So this is a cartoon to just show how we're going into of the CCUS. So you can see this is a power plant which is emitting CO2. We're going to be installing a capturing facilities. There's a different type of capturing technology which I will touch in a minute. This one is, we call them the amine technologies. It's a solvent which captures the CO2. So we will be capturing the CO2 from the power plant. Then there is something called the compression and dehydrations. Once we compress and dehydrate, we will be transporting CO2. It could be a liquid phase. We call them the dense phase. Then we go to the well. We start injecting the CO2. You can see the opportunity, our front runner that I will speak is an EOR project. We injected to enhance recovery, to mobilize more oil, enhancing the carbon for each barrels. And also on the top of that, we also look into the opportunity to permanently store the CO2 in the storage. And this is what we call the plume modeling. It's something quite interesting that I will touch bases of that. So the whole spectrum we're looking for is the utilization and storage. Eventually, what we're looking for in PDO is trying to build a portfolio where we integrate the entire portfolio with infrastructure to make as cheap as possible of CCUS opportunities within PDO and Oman, inshallah. I've been talking about the capturing a lot, right? So let me just dive a bit more details on the capturing. The most famous conventional way of capturing CO2 is using what we call the amine-based solvent. It's an absorption methodology. It's very simple, right? The idea is the CO2 coming in, the gas which is full of CO2, it goes to an absorption panel. Amine comes in, he likes CO2. He doesn't like any other type of inside the gas. He likes amine. He captures the amine and he moves away. So the gas, which is now not CO2, will be going out in the first stream on the top. These now combined amine and CO2 go to another one. We call them the regenerator. We will use the heat to separate both the amine and CO2. The amine will be recirculated back, and the last bit over there is coming in is going to be a high concentrate CO2 from these capturing facilities. It's not new, basic. It's been in the industry for the past 50, 70, 80 years. However, it was fit for purpose at the time for that specific objective, which is the high grade food, beverages, and so on. But now we're going completely a different spectrum. We're going to the of low concentrations, where the amine becoming extremely energy intensive technologies. Not only we talk about the low CO2 concentrations, we also the flue gas in the Middle East, and especially in Oman, with extremely high temperature, and it's very low pressure. So if we start focusing utilizing the conventional technologies, they're going to be extremely expensive. And what we decided in the PDO, we're not going to be focusing only on the conventional amine technology. We're looking to the spectrum of the capturing technologies. And it's a bit of things, there's a lot of wording there. But what we did, actually, we did a huge capturing technology evaluations. We did a lot of details in terms of technology readiness. We looked at the absorptions. We looked at what called the solid looping, cryogenic. We look into the membranes. We also look into direct air capture. All of this technology now being evaluated as we speak in the PDO. We also connected to more than 20 to maybe 40 capturing technologies. And the idea is now we want to really develop and be partner into these new technologies that really enable to capture CO2 as cheap as possible for those power plants that we have in PDO and eventually Oman. So the capturing technology is one of the most important elements that our team is really completely focused on. So moving from the capturing technologies, this is our front-runner projects that the cartoon was mentioning. If I start from the right, so we have a capturing facility that's Jibal Khuf. We're going to be capturing CO2 is high concentration, so we're going to be using conventional technologies. So once we capture the CO2 from the power plant on the right, we will be doing dehydration and compressions. And the whole reason behind that, we can compress the CO2 to the liquid phase. It will be transported and it will be injected under the ground. And the idea that we can push and mobilize this oil, then we can produce it. Now, the trick is the fluids which coming up to the well, they will be separated. We will separate the liquid and the gas. And the gas, which is containing now the CO2, will be captured and re-injected back, right? And that's what we call the closed loop system. And this system primarily being used in Canada. It primarily used a lot in the United States. The project is going fast, and they really getting carbon credit on top on the top of the normal project. So the idea is has to be a closed loop. You inject it, you capture it, and re-inject it back. After we finish the project, let's say after 15 or 20 years, this oil reservoir will be transferred to a storage hub, right? So first we will use it for utilization to get the money and get the oil barrel. At the end of the project, it will be converted to a storage. And there's a lot of things we're doing in PDO, service modeling, we're doing detailed service modeling, we're doing a lot of optimization, and of course the capturing and well design is the stuff that we're doing in day-to-day business in PDO. My last slide, it's going now from the utilization on the storage. We're doing a lot of work on the storage. On the top of there, we are being screening all type of the storage possible in PDO. So we're talking about the depleted reservoir, we're talking about the deep saline aquifer, and we're also looking for, which is the apholite. So each one of them has advantages and disadvantages. There's no one solutions, right? So if you go to the depleted reservoirs, it's fantastic places because we've been drilling a lot of those reservoirs. We know the subsurface very well, but the problem is the number of wells that we have drilled. So the leakage paths are really significant. On the other hand, the deep saline aquifer are extremely limited, right? Not limited in terms of, we're talking about limited in terms of the winds. So that means the leakage path is limited, but on the other hand, our knowledge on the subsurface is also limited. So it's also plus or minus, right? So one of them have a lot of understanding subsurface, but it has a potential of the leakage pass. The other side, the deep slime aquifer, have less number of wells, but we don't know the geology very well. So give and take. And then also the mineral rocks as well is something we've been looking at the moment, but the mineralization process is also on top of that. What we have seen in PDO, we decided to go fast on the deep slime aquifer. And the reason is because we have huge space to store the CO2 on that domain. It's quite significant. And I want to share the number today, but it's really coming up soon. And we evaluating those reservoirs, those storage type. We're talking in terms of the capacity, how much capacity we have to store the CO2. In terms of containment, it's very important. Can we contain the CO2? And in order to do the contain, we call them the plume modeling. And you can see the video over there. We developed a high simulation software where we can inject the CO2 now in this reservoir. And we see how the plume modeling taking place. And the important, we're doing the plume modeling not only for 100 years, 500 years, we're actually doing the plume modeling for 1,000 years. We're making sure that the CO2 we inject will be permanently stored under the ground. And also what we're looking into the details is the monitoring, which call them the MVV. So you can see on the top, we have a bit of seismic information over there. We're looking into the reservoir. We're modeling the reservoir. And what we do on the side over here, we start looking, what is exactly my ceiling, what is my storage definition, what is my seal definitions. And that's very important because it's going to be linked to the regulatory and policy later. And what are we doing actually when you're injecting CO2? What are the faults of the leakage paths? And we try to keep away from this leakage path. And this, doing this exercise for more than 50 to 60 storage type we have in PDO. And the end result at the moment, you can see the red ones over there is a PDO concession area where we screened all this deep slime aquifer. And the right over there, what we're doing is we call them the urban planning. So we have all these opportunities of utilization. On the top of that, now we brought all this storage opportunities, and we're linking them to plan at the moment is we were going to build the whole foundation and infrastructure using the utilization opportunities that will enable a cheaper storage in the future. And that's the primarily the objective we're doing in PDO. And just quickly, from that perspective, we're talking about CCUS hub. We're not talking about individual projects, and we're talking about the hub. And the reason why we're talking of the hub is the benefit of the hub is, first of all, the economy of scale. Right, so you could have multiple the CO2 in your place, and that's the economy scale we're looking for. The increased utilization, you're going to build a huge pipeline. You make sure everybody will start using this pipeline, and also the risk mitigations, because you have a lot of more investors coming up into the story. And just touch in a high level the challenges and the enablers, and I would say first the regulatory and policy. It's always a challenge how you define your storage, how you define what's going to be the flow modeling. All the sensitivity is something important. I think the second challenges is the business model and financing. We're investing a lot of time on that. The carbon credit market is still not really there. If yesterday in the climate week in Saudi Arabia, I think Saudi Arabia already announced the new carbon market in the Middle East. So I could see now the huge momentum happening in that domain. So hopefully with this carbon credit happening in the Middle East, it helps out all these projects. And R&D is something very important. We've been relying on conventional methodology like capturing amine. We really need to move away to new breakthrough of technology that enable a cheaper capturing. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
So stay there just 1 minute. In the beginning of your presentation, you had a slide, I think slide number 3, where you were seeing the potential from each of the processes that you had in the chain, renewables, and when you came to capture and storage, the range was quite wide, from 7 to 26%, if I recall.
Absolutely.
Is that due to what? Is maturity of the processes or the processes themselves? Because you have showed us so many different ways of capture and storage. Why that range?
That's a very good question. Actually, the range that you see is coming the carbon laboratory that we have we have done last year with the government to see what exactly the spectrum of opportunity that we have in Oman. And there actually we saw the hard to abate technologies, hard to abate industrial there, but it's very expensive to capture CO2 there. But what we did is the range of 7 to 12, 7 to 17, was it like 5 to 17%? We see how the technology can advance, then we can pushing the number all the way to 17%. In fact, yesterday there was an announcement of Oman Sustainability Center, and in Oman Sustainability Center they produce now the new numbers, and they changed it from the range to they made it 15%. So they became a bit much more confident on that domain. So the range is the initial numbers, but as we're maturing all these things, then we will getting to know exactly what will be the number there.
Okay, so maturity of the processes. Okay. And I will ask you a tricky question that the general public always comes with. Is it safe?
Yeah. I think, was it recently, I see here in Oman, people talking about the storage and so on. And I think we, as all of us, we need to start doing more knowledge sharing for the community, right? We're not going to be doing all these projects just like that. We will be spending a significant amount of investment there. The amount of modeling and technology that we'll be doing is significantly important to make sure that CO2 will be permanently stored there. And just to let you know, this reservoir that we have, the hydrocarbon there for the past millions of years are being there. When we're injecting CO2 on those depleted reservoirs, it will be there millions of years, like the hydrocarbon which was there. The deep slime aquifer, it's going to be trapping the CO2. The CO2 will be trapped, and we'll make sure we will be far away as much as possible from all the leakage paths, right? And that's where the whole modeling and make sure the MVV, all things connected, are very important to assure not the regulatory and policy only, but the community. That's exactly that we'll be doing in a safe manner.
So I would put together with your challenges and opportunities of outreach. I fully agree with you. There is very little information out there, and communities get a bit concerned with what, you know, I always say that if you don't know, you say no. If you don't know, it's a no. You know, you ask a question, do you want, and you don't know what it is, you say no, because this is the normal reaction. So it is something super interesting. It is technology that is now being explored and used in many. So it's new to the public possibly, but not for as an activity. So I think a lot needs to be achieved in the outreach as well.
We'll be doing more knowledge sharing for sure.
Good.
Thank you.
So I invite you to act SAF series one of these days. Excellent. I mean, so a round of applause to our speaker. That was an impressive presentation, a very good presentation, by the way. Is it okay? Good. All right. So we will move now to our second speaker. So, and just one more detail. When you put your slide on cooperation, I was very impressed, because this is another thing that will be very important, because there's so much knowledge. We were talking about this in Canada that are already being used. Sharing that knowledge will be also something that can help a lot. All right. So let us now welcome Mr. Kumail Al-Ruati, who will share with us PR experience in the production of biofuels, raw materials, current experience, and future plans. Mr. Kumail, the floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. And my sincere apologies for being late. I had some logistics issue in the morning, however, sorted out. Myself, Kumail Lawati, I'm the Business Development Vice President in VIA. Before I go into my presentation, just want to give you a brief about the waste management industry in Oman. So BA manages the entire waste produced in the country, be it municipal waste and industrial waste, hazardous healthcare, except radioactive waste. We don't manage. Everything else we manage them. In Oman, we produce around 6,000 tons of MSW waste, and it comes in total of 7,000 tons, including waste. So we are talking about 1.2 kg per person, which is the same average worldwide. We are slightly at the lower side, which is a good story, but then I think we can improve more. Moving into waste, I mean, moving into the used cooking oil. We in Oman imports around 94,000 tons of cooking oil every year. More than 40 to 45% actually gets absorbed within the food, and the left out is around 50 to 55% of this. However, not everything is being captured in the country. Majority of it is being exported in different ways, but we believe there is a good opportunity in the country to start recycling it to produce different kind of end product or downstream product, be it fuel or be it different biofuel, sorry, or be it different product. So digging into a little bit of this presentation, so as I mentioned, 94,000 tons we import every day. 1,400 tons is being captured currently from commercial institutes, and 2,500 from houses. Unfortunately, as we speak, mechanism to capture cooking oil from households. We are working with different stakeholders, authorities, and entities, private entities, to come up with a mechanism where we can attract or divert these oils rather than going to the drainage system to be captured and utilized in our recycling facilities, one like Waqood and different recycling facilities. I mean, we have two as we speak. Where it is divided, how the what we call the cooking used cooking oil market is, or where it is. So we are talking about 5-star, 4 stars hotels. We are talking about restaurants. We are talking about coffee shops, and we're talking about what we call it, kitchens or cloud kitchens. And we're also talking about food industry or food manufacturers uh, industrial area. So where are these places where the oil produced, used cooking oil are produced. In Oman, we have done a study in 2017. So what it's possible to be captured as a clean source is around 11,000 out of course, the 94, out of the, let's say, 45,000. If we say that 50 or 55% we can recover. So for 11,000 tons can be captured as we speak. We need to improve the situation. Out of this 11,000, 6,500 are available in Muscat, and the rest is scattered in the rest of the governorates around the Sultanate. What is happening today? So from that 94,000, we have 89% stays within the country. 11% has been exported. However, from the 89%, there is a regular market and still happening in different ways, where they capture around 53% of this market, and 47% it goes, which mainly comes out of the houses, is unfortunately it goes into the drainage system. Actually, this is going into the drainage system. It has two impacts. One, that you lose the value out of this used cooking oil or out of this valuable waste. And second thing, actually also creates an issue down the line for sewage system. As it creates lots of clogs down the line. It's like in 7 to 10 years time, it creates a big clogs, and Haya already, or Nama currently, are already started to face issues in some areas, especially coming from used cooking oil, which was drained, or sorry, pushed into the drainage system. The impact of not practicing the right or not doing the right practices. One is the impacting the human being, and it's impacting the spread of different diseases, clogging, as I mentioned, of sewage system, and waste of value, where we could have taken that product instead of putting it into the drainage system or not utilizing it to cities, which creates the value out of the used cooking oil. So what we intend to do in BIA? In BIA, we have came up, we engage with different entities to come up with different, with one single mechanism which can help everyone, be it a commercial entities or be it a household. We are starting currently, as this presentation is reflecting more on commercial side or the commercial entities, whereby all oil generator or used cooking oil generator to register in BIA's platform, so we know that we can track the generators from the beginning and where they are taking it. So we also ask the collectors to again register in here. So we'll not allow the generator to give their fuel, or sorry, their cooking oil to collector who is not registered on the platform. Again, the recyclers also has to be registered on this platform. So in this case, we have a kind of a full cycle on by tracking the waste right from the generating point and who's transporting it and where they are transporting it. Down the line, and the other presentation, the next slide, I'll show you. I'll talk about commercialize. So once we have taken once we implement this, it's not yet fully implemented. We're waiting for some authorities to endorse or to come up with and endorse some of them to ensure the right practice is happening in the market. By implementing this and going to, let me talk about this one. I'll come back to the other two slides. So what we aim to do here, that we commercialize this and we try to extract value or maximum value out of the waste, be it used cooking oil or any other waste. So we are coming up with a bidding platform. Hopefully before end of the year it should be ready, and probably by Q1 of next year it should be live and implemented. So what we intend to do, that every waste generator, be it used cooking oil or any other recyclables, will only be able to sell and transport and recycle the waste will be through the trading platform. So the generators, their waste in the bidding platform, the recyclers or the traders will come and bid on this waste on the platform, and they will gonna select a transporter from the bidding platform to transport the waste from the generating points to the recycling facility. The moment we have excess in the market, there we will allow export for these waste, and then we're gonna have a full view on the market size, on where are the waste being generated, where being recycled, and who are also the transporters. Given that, having said this opportunity will gonna create jobs and we're gonna create new opportunities. Today the market is unfortunately it's there, but it's not regulated well. And most of the practices happening in the market is not the right practices. So we are working with different authorities and with our partners and commercial entities as well to come up with a mechanism and processes which helps everyone and preserves the country from environmental issues, and at the same time we also recover value and bring value to the economy. I'll go back again to the So what we have done in the past, I will not go into the full story for what we started in 2019, because we started way before that. But then when it comes to the used cooking oil, started in 2018. So the company has worked with different authorities. We've worked also with different companies to improve the market practice. be it from the generators and be it from the transporters and the recyclers. 3-4 years back, we did not any recycling facility in Oman, especially for used cooking oil. Today, we're talking about two, and one of them is kind of a role model in the region. They've got the latest technology, and they intend to expand. Again, I'm not marketing for you, but I'm just saying the reality. And I honestly, we are very impressed to see this, and what makes us even more proud that the entire management there are Omani, mashallah, and they're the one who's running the the entire show, and what really can be used out of the used cooking oil. So used cooking oil, as I mentioned, that out of the 11,000 tons, mainly in the Sultanate, there is two main technology. There is more. Then these are the two main technologies can be used in the Sultanate, and it is let's say there is an end product for it within the region is the fame. And honestly, I'm not the right person to go into the detail of this. That's you need an engineer where I'm not. So I'll leave it for probably Maher down the line to speak more about the products they produce and how do they produce it. Anyway, so the end product or the HEFA. So in the FAME, we are talking about biofuel, and in HEFA, we can convert it into a sustainable jet fuel. I've talked about this, so thank you very much. And again, apologies for being late.
Mr. Kumar, thank you so much for sharing his efforts in leading this change to put waste management sector at the forefront. This is very good. Do you see, right now, used cooking oil is the favorite feedstock for SAF because of the process. HEFA process is so well known. It's an easy breezy, and we have seen around the world something that was very interesting, that we could get less than twice the price. We got in some places 1.9 already going to cooking oil and HEFA, which is getting very close to the traditional fuel for SAF. Isn't the best thing to do is to connect with the aviation sector and have some direct project just for aviation? Because it's that could be an easy fix, no? Business-wide, is that wise?
Well, I fully agree with you, and I echo all what you have said. However, we yet to regulate the market. The market in Oman, especially the industrial waste market, is not very well. I wouldn't say very well, but it requires some enhancements to become the best. We started the journey. Things has improved in the past few years. Still, the journey is quite long. But if you are telling me, are we on the right track? Yes, we are on the right track. Are we at the right speed? I'm probably hesitant to say yes, but we are not very slow.
Okay.
So we were gonna get there, especially that there are gonna be changes recently. I mean, in the coming days, there is a kind of better regulations are coming in on the way before end of the year.
Good, because this is a feedstock that has a lot of interest.
I fully agree
For
with you,
this
Dr.
sector,
Rex.
we want it.
Indeed.
Good.
Indeed.
Excellent. All right. So thank you again very much.
Right.
And now we will welcome Mr. Maher Albasi, who is the CEO of the CEO of WACUD, for his experience in the production of biofuel, raw materials, opportunities, challenges. Go for it.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. I'll talk about WACUD. First of all, I'm not an engineer, so I'll not talk about anything like that. I'll talk about a real story. We are in the market from a businessman view. I'll talk about all details about how we will reach to SAF. First of all, when we create WACUD 3 years ago, SAF was in our plan for 25. Inshallah, we'll make it. Inshallah. It is not easy for a lot of, for 1 million reasons. Inshallah, we'll try to solve it. Here, we believe in everyone here. We believe in government, in the private sector. And inshallah, I'll tell a lot about Uqud, and I'll talk about what is the solution from our side and what is the difficult things that we cannot solve it till today. So, Bismillah. Biodiesel in Oman, it was a great journey. 3 now. We are the first biodiesel producer in Oman. We started with a great partnership with 4401, and now we have X2E, and my partner John will talk later on about what is the future. So we have a surprise. We choose Khazain, and Khazain is the first private economy area in Oman, and we are the first factory there. We started alone, in the middle of nowhere, no food, no electricity, no water, nothing. Alhamdulillah. Today we have many neighbors, and inshallah in the future we have the first dry port there in Khazan, and this is a marketing for. We have the biggest fruit and vegetable market, and inshallah that market we will produce electricity for them. We have some crazy plans. So here, I started the journey with my partner Talal, and he's the founder of 4401. Alhamdulillah. Karen will talk about 4401. Later on, we decided to grow fast, and we found the partner, talking about James, about John Jones, and later on, slowly, we invited investors from outside the country, and to see this countries in a small company like Wuqud, this is very proud for us. Alhamdulillah, we are growing very fast, and we are invited all the experience in the market. Dr. Lami Al-Haj from Sultan Qaboos University. She's in passion with biodiesel, and we work together in many projects. Okay, why biofuel or why biodiesel? Many countries started using biodiesel. The difference here, if you are using 1 liter of normal diesel, you will burn 3.2 kilogram of carbon. But if you are using biodiesel, you will burn 0.1. Talking about 93% difference in carbon emission. And of course, biodiesel is the fastest solution and the cheapest solution. No need to spend anything. Just give a call to Wuqud or to any other recycler, and we'll send you biodiesel. We tested our biodiesel in Oman 2 years ago as a blend. The blend means if you have a truck, you want to use biodiesel, you can start with B5. 5% of biodiesel mixed with 95% of normal diesel. You can go up to B10, B20. Alhamdulillah, in Oman, we reached to B40 in Salalah, and we reached to B100 with 4401. They have the first generator, B100 generator. And we believe that we need the government to support us using B1, B2, B5 in every petrol station. And that will be the first step reducing carbon emission. You can see many countries outside, let's talk about Peru, B5, Paraguay, B1, South Africa, B2. So again, in our region, still no one mandate any blend. I believe maybe United Arab Emirates already are supporting the blend. And I'll talk about the journey. We chose Khaza in 2020, and we started building the factory. And suddenly COVID came. And alhamdulillah, we built the factory in 8 months. middle of COVID, middle of nowhere in Khazain. And we faced the problem that the British machine reached to, but the team couldn't come because there are no airports. And here, the Omani team, Abdullah is here. Abdullah was engineer. Today we have 22 engineers, alhamdulillah. We're scaling up very fast. Next project will hire 400 engineers. Inshallah, by 2025, we'll reach to 600 engineers in Waqood group. And this is a very big number. I'm very proud. Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you for the. So we started our, this machine is producing 20 tons a day. So it is 600 tons a month, 7,200 tons a year. Of course, Kumail explained the quantities in Oman. When we started the journey, I'm dealing with the UCO since 2005. So I know very well the Omani market. I started in Saudi Arabia also. I opened one company there, 15. So I know Oman is a very small country. But again, we can focus how to collect more UCO. We started supporting SMEs to collect for us. Today we have 9 SMEs collecting for Waqood. Of course, we are not a UCO collectors, we are producers. We are a small refinery. Supporting SMEs means giving more jobs to Omanis, more chances to control the market. There is a lot of gaps in between because most of the UCO is going outside the country till today. And inshallah, well, the government will try to close that. Alhamdulillah, we are the first biodiesel factory in the world run fully with solar. And this is an Omani record. And I'll talk about that car in the end. This is Waqood, producing 600 tons. The next Waqood, in the same place, already we rent the second land. We are scaling up very fast. We will produce 2,100 tons a month. That is 25,000 tons a year, 250 million liters, just to cover the country needs. I'll not talk about problems. We have many problems. No one is using our biodiesel till today. I don't know why. Companies, private sector. Good morning to us, Omanis. And this is about the price. Simply, you heard that. Simply, the government is subsidizing the normal diesel, 200 million Omani riyal, going to support the normal diesel. Go burn more carbon. Okay. But unfortunately, they say no. I don't know why you're not supporting this story. We are an Omani SME, and we have a dream to remove all the carbon from Oman. Of course, it's not easy, but we are the small bulldozer. For this huge building, no one knows who dig the ground. One bulldozer came, dig the ground, and went. We are that small bulldozer. Just think about that. Okay? We are trying to dig the ground, to oils. Of course, we started very well. We signed with Sultan Qaboos University, with German University, inshallah very soon with other universities. We are supporting R&D. We cannot survive with used cooking oil. The quantity is very small, but we can find other solutions. Recently, Sultan Qaboos University, they run the first bus in the world with oil. And we are working together with them. I found a small Omani who has a small factory producing 40,000 liters of that oil. I told him, come, I will support you. I need that oil. From fish waste also. Fish waste, we can produce oil. I'm not talking about the omega-3, omega-4. No, I'm not talking about the stomach and the head, that we can produce oil from that. And that oil will go for biodiesel. So imagine how many tons of waste fish we have in Oman. We have 3,600 kilometers. Again, algae is a solution. Yes, it is very expensive, but also it's a solution. Recently, and with John, we found camellia. It is a grass in the States and in Spain, in India. And that camellia produced 40% oil. That oil become biodiesel. And here is the big jump of food. We are planning factory in Suhar port will cost $400 million. It's a big number for small SMEs. Another small factory in Salalah, small but $30 million. It's not small. I'm very proud of this team. We started with Abdullah, Ahmed. Today, alhamdulillah, we are 32, 22 of them Omanis, and we are growing. We are choosing the best universities and colleges in Oman. We support them. We send some of them to Europe to learn more. We are planning to build the first biodiesel lab in the region, because for every sample I have to send it to Europe. I'll spend 1,000 riyal. So let's build a lab here. It will be the first lab, inshallah, in Middle East. And again, with 4401. Future SAF. We are thinking about SAF. We will produce SAF, inshallah. Okay. Inshallah, the government will support us. It is when we build Waqood, the idea is to have 4 or 5 factories in the region, then to build a massive SAF to produce sustainable aviation fuel and marine fuel also. So it was there from beginning. Alhamdulillah, today we are talking about SAF in Oman. We'll find solution. Money talks. I'm a businessman. So here you can see, alhamdulillah, we started small, 21 with $3 million. Now we're getting up to 7 million in the same factory. We are building a new factory in Bahrain, inshallah, very soon. We'll start by the first month in January. We'll start the foundation in Bahrain, 20 tons a day, the same size of Waqood, but the news for Waqood Oman to have a branch within 3 years to expand in GCC. Again, I talk about the 250 million liter in Suhar. That will be, inshallah, 2024, $400 million. And I'm talking about Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia is a very, very big market. They have a quantity of UCO. We're talking about more than 45,000 tons. I was there in Saudi Arabia. So we are talking to many, many companies, and even with Aramco, to start something with Saudi Arabia. We are opening a small factory there in Riyadh because we have a demand. We have a huge demand. All the project in Saudi Arabia is talking about B100. And inshallah, in Oman, we'll start talking about B20, B30, maybe B100 in some projects, inshallah. In Salalah, because Salalah, they have a big port. We are focusing on biodiesel because in marine section, they have regulation to % every year of the carbon. Of course, they cannot fix a solar in the ship. This is not a solution. Hydrogen will come, but it will take 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. We don't know the price of the hydrogen yet, but everyone knows the price of biodiesel. Very small wish list. Our major problem is that we cannot sell our biodiesel in Oman. Very simple. The collectors today sending the UCO outside the country because they found a better price. Imagine the diesel price in Oman is 258 paisa, subsidy from the government. I'm buying the UCO for 400 paisa. Plus I put another 200 paisa, the factory. So with 600 paisa I cannot survive. No one will buy my biodiesel for 600 paisa. And this is an excuse for all the companies in Oman, all the big companies. I reach to everyone, the airports, the ports, the petroleum companies. Simply, why to pay? Regulation. So it is very simple. Either to subsidy the biodiesel and to give a chance for this industry, or to kill us. We will not die. Waqood will not die. We will move. Inshallah, we'll do this in Oman. Again, the blend. We need to start using biodiesel in every station. We test it everywhere. Generators, ships, small trucks, small pickups also. So we had to start a blend in Oman. B1 will be a good solution. It will not cost anything. But with the BIA and with the Environment Authority, last week we control.
Mr. Mahler, we will have to interrupt because
This is
we
the
are
last one.
really losing the control of the time here.
No, this is the last one. Okay. Waqood logo in this nice car in Barcelona this year. It is not true. It is not easy to put a logo, a small company from Oman there in Barcelona. We are very proud. And it was not easy journey. But thank you for supporting us.
Impressive journey, Mr. Mahler. Thank you. And we'll be looking forward for the SAF.
We will build the staff in 2 years. we are ready.
But we will be using your green diesel in the ground in the airports, which is also a different part that we have to look at.
We are
Thank
ready
you.
for that. Thank you so much.
We are running a little bit out of time. So let us welcome Mr. Karam Kinchi from 401, who will share with us how carbon mineralization can support aviation's journey to net zero. So Mr. Karam, the floor is yours. Before you start, can I please ask the organizers to maybe turn off this air conditioner? Is so cold that we are losing our voice already. Thank you. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, everybody. My name is Karan Kimji. I am the Chief Commercial Officer and co-founder of 4401. So I'll be talking about how carbon mineralization can support the aviation sector's journey to net zero. I'll start by thanking Dr. Nabil for a wonderful overview of how CCUS in particular can support sustainable aviation fuels. He described various storage reservoirs that could be used to store CO2, and I will focus on the mineral trapping element of storage solutions, which is what 4401 focuses on. We focus on a rock called peridotite, also known as ophiolite here in Oman, and it is our version of a carbon sink. The ophiolite here is an oceanic mantle rock. It actually forms part of the ocean crust, and through decades of tectonic activity, it's been thrust onto the surface to form a beautiful mountain range here in Oman. The rock itself is in an unnatural state because it's no longer at these high pressures at ocean depth and is naturally absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And it has been doing that for decades. So this image below is a picture of the naturally mineralized peridotite formation here in Oman. Just an example of it. The white veins that you see in this picture is the solidified carbon dioxide after the mineralization process takes place. Mineralization is a natural chemical reaction that occurs when CO2 and water interact with the ophiolite formation. The ophiolite formation is high in olivine, which is the mineral that actually reacts with this CO2. Through the mineralization process, the CO2 is turned into an inert mineral, calcium, mainly calcites, that traps that CO2 away for forever. So this is truly the most permanent form of carbon removal that exists on the planet, because that CO2 can never be re-released back into the atmosphere after being trapped in mineral form. What we do at 4401 is that we accelerate this natural emission process to take in meaningful amounts of CO2 from the atmosphere and from industrial processes here in the country to have an impact on the effects of climate change. We take CO2 that's been captured in a direct air capture facility or an industrial player through point source capture, such as the MEE solutions that Dr. Nabil described, and we mix that with water and inject that fluid mixture into peridotite formations in the subsurface. We target specific fracture networks that exist in the natural crystalline structure of the ophiolite formation, and that's how we engage the CO2 with the ophiolite formation itself. Over the course of that CO2 reacts with the ophiolite and turns into the calcite minerals that I described earlier, permanently locking away that CO2 from existence in that mineral form. We have adjacent monitoring wells that we drill to monitor and verify and quantify that the mineralization process is actually occurring, and those are basically hydrologically connected to the injection boreholes. Air injection process using renewables, because in the end we are trying to remove as much CO2 from the atmosphere and from industrial processes as possible, and the use of renewables reduces that even further. We have started here in Oman. We are an Omani company, and our first pilots that we conducted were here in the ophiolite formation that you see in the rock. So all the dark area of this map is the ophiolite, stretching from the north part of Oman all the way up to Fujairah in the UAE. So we've started our pilots where we have proved three things: that the accelerated mineralization process occurs, that it occurs extremely rapidly, and can mineralize small amounts of CO2 that we've injected in less than 1 year. And during the injection process and post the mineral trapping process, there is no damage to the subsurface through CO2 leakages at all, because the CO2 is trapped in mineral form. Pilot in the Fujairah rock that this can be done outside of the country as well. So we are one of the first technologies that have been developed in Oman, homegrown, and handed outside the country to take this technology elsewhere. This UAE demonstration is in partnership with ADNOC in the UAE. We are then going to scale up our projects to the next phase, and we're slowly working with the relevant ministries here that are overseeing our process to ensure that everything is done in a safe and protected way. Maher showed an amazing picture of Waqud in his last presentation. We have a R&D lab that is co-located with the Waqud facility that sits right next to and we power our entire R&D function off of the solar that sits on our rooftops as well as Waqud's rooftops. So we have a joint partnership that's been ongoing since the founding of both companies in 2020. The IPCC, which is the UN's effectively climate body, has indicated that carbon removal technologies are essential to the to fight the climate challenge and to keep global warming under 1.5 degrees Celsius. What 4401 does is enable that by providing the most permanent form of carbon removal that exists on the planet through mineralized CO2, as you can see on the top right. So the way that mineralization can support SAF is in two ways. We can, there is a significant amount of CO2 emissions that are not going to be able to be removed by sustainable aviation fuels. SAF in particular helps the operational element of flying airplanes, but there are embodied carbons that are associated with the building and constructions, all the steel and all the other elements of the supply chain that need to be decarbonized as well. So what 4401 can support with is that airlines could purchase our mineralization credits to offset the remaining amount of embodied emissions that remain after the use of sustainable aviation fuel. The second way is that we can eliminate CO2 produced during the production of SAF itself. So there will be excess CO2 from the production of sustainable aviation fuels that can be provided to us to mineralize at our sites, therefore reducing the carbon intensity of the production SAF in itself. So these are two wonderful ways that we can support, and we're looking forward to continuing the conversation with many of you involved in this sector, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. That was efficient. Can I, curiosity, not my specific area, the mineralization part of it, very interesting. Do you change the characteristics of the minerals by acting by this absorption of the CO2? How is it? So why it's by pressure, by how the minerals then absorb the CO2 specifically?
Excuse me. So the host rock is an alkaline rock, and when you mix CO2 with water, it forms a acidic fluid.
Okay.
So the reaction process is actually a neutralization reaction where when the CO2 reacts with the host alkaline rock, it's forced to return to neutral. So the rock itself is seeking out neutralization. It's called a pH swing. This is the natural process that's happening in the rock formation itself, which is CO2 from the atmosphere as well. It's usually associated with rainwater in our wadis that the CO2 mixes with and then interacts with the rock on the surface. What we're doing at 4401 is that we're accelerating that by injecting the fluid mixture into the subsurface itself and engaging the rock formation. And we do that with a combination of temperatures and pressures to accelerate the process. But the pH swing itself is natural, and basically the reaction wants to happen.
So it would be fair to say, or correct to say, that this is a quite safe process because you are not altering any of the natural processes. You're just accelerating them. Is
That's
that
right, yeah.
correct to say?
Absolutely, and because that CO2 is trapped in the rock formation forever, there's no floating fluids in the subsurface either, so that it is completely
Very
safe.
interesting. And have you calculated? You showed in the map, but have you calculated the area that you have and the potential for absorption?
Yeah, absolutely.
So?
The Oman is extremely unique in that aspect. We have the largest superficial outcrop of ophiolite on the planet, which is incredible.
You should
it's
have
so
put that.
beautiful here.
I'm asking because you should have put that very big in your presentation because I
Yes.
saw that elsewhere. But please say it loud because this is one of the biggest reserves. You know, that potential is huge. Go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you. It's one of the largest, it is the largest superficial outcrop of peridotite or ophiolite on the planet, which exists here in Oman. Just theoretically, if we could engage all the molecules of peridotite with CO2, we could remove all the emissions ever emitted since the pre-industrial age by humankind here in Oman in the safest way possible.
It's incredible.
We can't engage all that peridotite, of course. There is an operational process that we need to go through, and there is an element of regulation that we need to follow with the ministries here in Oman. So we're doing that really, really slowly and ensuring that we're doing that in the safest and safest way possible before scaling up.
But that potential is incredible. It's really incredible. And so I'll just have to. So by doing that, you have this huge potential for green hydrogen as well, right?
For hydrogen in production, for clean hydrogen production, yes.
So can you then revert what we just said? You know, huge reservoir that you have on the minerals to absorb the CO2, and how that potentializes the creation of green hydrogen. Can you explain to them?
So it's what we can support with is creating clean products for the industries. So if Oman has a huge hydrogen ambition, which is fantastic. There's also a lot of industry that's already existing in the country, steel, cement, concretes, chemicals. All of that produces CO2. What we can support with in terms of mineralization is cleaning out that entire process by taking the CO2 captured from those production facilities, including the hydrogen facilities, and so the entire production process will produce no CO2 through that, and can continue as is.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So a round of applause. I know we are running a little bit off the time, but please bear with us. We have last but not least, Dr. Ahmed from Sultan Qaboos University will share with us the experience of cultivating jatropha for its use in the production of sustainable fuels. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Last speaker. I'm speaking very fast, so I will not take long time for your time, inshallah. And sorry for the interrupter, maybe it's hard to translate my talk. So, assalamu alaikum. Just imagine what you're going to see when you just your impression when you see this kind of photo, like this image, sweet corn, and then biogas or gasoline or petrol station on top of it. Since we are kids, this sweet corn is in our dish is for food, not for biodiesel production, not for something for our cars. It's for human beings. Then imagine this one is completely field full of sweet corn, full of different kind of seeds. It's for biodiesel. It could be shame for us. People around the world they don't food to eat, and we're feeding our cars as a priority. So we have to look for different option here and there. And then people start saying, hey, fossil fuels start to go up, and now it's going up again, alhamdulillah. So it's less like risky, or maybe we have to go for looking for different options here and there. Then otherwise we'll go to the old eggs, using donkeys. There's another kind of historical things could be good for the survival later on. But then we will have to stop emission or producing carbon dioxide. We have everything here called global warmings. Everything started to getting bad. So many carbon dioxide, methane in the air. You have to do something for the whole world. Then say, hey guys, we have this good one, the solutions. Go to biodiesel, something from the nature. No more carbon dioxide, or at least carbon dioxide. And then all of this is kind of edible crops is for human, producing different kind of diesel, biodiesel, biofuels from all of them. And then it has a lot of advantage for humans compared to the fossil fuels. They're good for the environment, this carbon dioxide, carbon credit, all the positive things. And with the time, people start to go toward the biodiesel production or biofuel production. And even Ferrari or good car, fancy cars, they start to run with biodiesel. And alhamdulillah, I saw that now one company, they start to produce biodiesel, and well done, good challenge for them. And then, but for the whole world, all those things were produced not from cooking oil, it's mainly from edible crops, vegetables, fruits, that's for humans. And the population started to increase, water shortage also increasing, so no more water in the whole world. We're in the stress or drought period. And then we were saying, we have to go also again for this one. And we will start producing biodiesel, biofuels for their cars, like feeders kind of crops, look strange for the humans. How come we don't have enough food for ourselves and you are feeding your car? Then this kind of cartoons coming in the words. Poor people need the food and the businessman looking for the biofuels. So are we in this side or that side? We have to decide and to look for different options. Same different cartoons. Hey guys, we're hungry, food for us, but you have to feed us. No, sorry, this is for my machine, for my car. I have to feed the car first, not you. Different here and there, different challenges. So they are saying, can produce this kind of biofuels amount, this liter of biofuels from this kind of kilograms or ton of sweet corn or different seeds. Then, guys, one of the scientists said, hey guys, it's a crime for the humanity. Food is food for human, not for cars. So you have to look for different options. Then the guy said, hey, we have different crops. They're not edibles. They can survive with water. They can survive in saline soils. Inside, they can survive in different conditions. So go for them and utilize them and keep the good soil, the good water, everything good for the human, to grow vegetables, crops for the nature. Then we found this one. It's called Gatrofa. It's Latin America and it's in India, different countries. It can survive in a different condition. 40% of these seeds can produce biodiesel. It has carbon credits, can absorb a lot of carbon dioxide, and people start to look on this kind of crops. And even my students and in the university will start to go for different extraction, either chemical extraction or mechanical extractions. And we produce different kind of biodiesel. People start to run the machines, small engines with this biodiesel. And different country now we have Mercedes cars. It's tried with biodiesel. Other country like 2 years trial for using Gatrofa plants to run different cars. And then even Toyota, without modification in the engine, it was running with biodiesel coming from Gatrofa. And the Indian people start to think, can we produce plastic, paper, so many things from this plant, since we're already growing different crops, a lot of Gatrofa in India. Then here and there, different trials here and there. And even the trains was running with biodiesel. And then when I was young, I had a chance to travel to India, and I found this big feed with the Gatrofa. I said, what about these plants in Oman? Oman, we have different conditions, harsh conditions, hot, stress, drought, so many here and there, not enough water, salty water here and there. Then can we grow this type of crops in our condition, Oman conditions. Could be, yes, this is our lovely country. We have mountains in the tops, sand dunes in the middle, good and nice weather at the bottoms. But we are living in the hot season, in hot zone. Not enough rainfall, only 100 millimeters, and only in groundwater. And most of our lands are not suitable for agriculture. So with all those conditions, then Haya, it was Haya, before now it's called Nama, they said, hey guys, we have plenty of treated wastewater. What about using this water either for producing food, crops, something for human, for people, for Omanis, could be acceptable or not. We have 5 years project now, or just use it for non-renewables. You can grow flowers, rose, cotton, or biofuels. And they're saying, hey guys, with 2040, we want to have like river wastewater in Oman. It's sad that we control this water in the sea. Please utilize it. This is not what the mission Oman 2040. Utilize all this water from Nama company. So all this condition Oman, hot zone, salty water, salty soils and water in Oman, not enough fresh waters, and we have plenty of treated wastewater. Then I had this hour. We have technology, we have labors, all things, but we are not sure about lands. Can the plants survive in our lands? Harsh conditions, salty soils, can survive under salt, heat conditions, especially in summer, around 45, 30 degrees Celsius. Then we started the experiment. I got seeds from India, and we check the plant and greenhouse, cooling conditions, and heat stress. The plant can survive under all conditions, except heat stress. It was the main issue, or for the plant to survive. Then for different conditions. Then we said we can transfer the plant during the winter season, and it was great. It was growing very well, producing very nice seeds, and we had the opportunity to get different biodiesel from these plants. So it was growing very well under winter season, and to surviving under the summer season. So it has all parameters within the international standards, and we had different conditions, different growth with the salty soil, with salty water, with the wastewater, and even different compost, organic, inorganic, and mixed. And the plant was giving us with treated wastewater was the best growth. During our experiment, it's stony soil, not for agriculture, for growing crops, but Gatrofa was the best in all conditions. And see the growth, and the plant was surviving in good conditions with treated wastewater. And finally, we had different mixed crops, and Gatrofa and date palms were the best in these conditions. So we applied for Green Award. We got the Green Award for this projects because from nothing, salty soils, wastewaters, and rocky soil, we did something. So we had like the Green Award is coming. I'm closing. So then we have different trials here and there, and this Indian company, they say to us or organizations, hey guys, you are doing very well in Oman compared to like India. Then we got agreement deals. Hey guys, since you can produce biodiesel or biofuel in Oman, so what about growing big lands in Oman, and we're taking care of marketing. Grow them, we take the seeds and send them to the European market. These guys, we are not company, we are an organization for research. Then my students start to apply this one, good money here and there, and they are doing very well in this style now. They are doing very nice experiment and research in this side, and even producing biodiesel or biofuels from under different conditions, and they're getting a good and very nice data. And they are also giving presentations or to the different national and international organizations, conferences, just to tell guys experiment. We have to know about our idea. And alhamdulillah, we are doing very well. Thank you very much.
Excellent, Ahmed. That was really nice. I have one question. I know we are out of time, but one question. I saw in some of the slides that you also explore castor oil. How does that compare, Jatropha and castor oil? For the situation?
It was one of the trials, but we didn't focus on castor oil. It was mainly about Jatropha.
Okay.
But we didn't compare.
Jatropha for staff, specifically for aviation, is a well-known approach and a very successful one in many places.
Yep.
So we have the process is well-known, the feedstock is very appropriate, and for your situation here, it's excellent. So thank you.
And now we're getting investors from
yes, and the business case is very good. So as I said yesterday, 3 pillars for Jatropha and sustainable aviation fuels. The 3 pillars are excellent. Thank you. So we ran a little bit out of time. That has been a very insightful panel, and I appreciate that we touch upon so much, from waste to oils, from non-food crop, jatropha to LCAP, and so on. But it's very interesting, this diverse approach. I think we said in the beginning that there's not one silver bullet. We'll need all those solutions. It's not that one, oh, so now it's mineralization, oh, it's waste, oh, it's jatropha. No, it's everything together and much more. So I think we have a very good business case to show. Net zero will require all of that. But I will ask you one question. So you have the genie in the box, and you have one wish for the policymakers. What is your wish to really make your business really succeed? The box will give you one wish for the policymakers.
Thanks. I think it's not very easy to answer this question, actually, to be honest. If I just say, in the policy, you're very careful with it, right? It could be enabler, and it could be not a blocker, but delay a lot of projects, right? So there's a thin line how you want to maneuver through it. We could stop all the projects and start developing a huge regulatory and policy documents and so on, and let the project delays. Or no, actually trying to utilize what we call them the trailblazer projects to help out even the policy to mature, right? And I actually quite like the Australian way of this. Actually, they develop what they call them the sandbox regulatory policy, where they establish what they call the framework of the regulatory policy. Then they have what they call them the front runner project or the trailblazer project, and they learn as we go. My views is we need to develop what they call the high level framework of the regulatory policy in such a way to enable a lot of projects, and then take a deeper look to all this ready to advance them. Having it very detailed ones, I don't think it's going to enable a lot of projects that we have in Oman.
Well, I'll try to stick to one. From my side, we look from authorities or the regulatory to expedite the process, and to also widen their perspectives beyond the current market situation. The opportunity is huge when it comes to management industry, and we are missing a lot on it. And I hope that we expedite this.
In my opinion, to truly accelerate, I think one of the huge challenges here is the adoption of technologies such as ours in a rapid form to meet the challenges of the scale of climate change and the change. And I think to truly accelerate the adoption of these technologies, that we need a mechanism that's going to enable industry players, large industry players, to take that bold action, whether that be a form of a tax on carbon or potentially a
It is the same here. The decision will take time. From my experience, I talked to 18 ministers in Oman for the last 3 years. Till today, I don't have a simple decision will protect me or protect this industry. So we need to make this faster. Very, very small request.
Excellent. So, message is here. We need some support to the starts, until we really prove what solutions can be more effective, and then better regulate as we move forward. It's very interesting. At the same time, you will appreciate that if you have regulatory stability, help you to plan your businesses as well. So it has to be something that is adjustable, but that gives the right signal and that gives you some confidence in investing and moving forward with your business. So very good. Round of applause to our speakers. That was very insightful. And now I don't know if it's a break. Shall I announce a break? It's a coffee break, is that? Okay, it's a coffee break. You have to be here as I'm instructed at 10:45. Good. See you here at 10:45. Thank you. I took your role away. I'm so sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Jane Hope. We express our gratitude to Ms. Jane Hope and the participating speakers for enriching this session with their valuable and insightful contributions. It's worth noting that their expertise and insights have shed light on the importance of sustainable and low carbon aviation fuel development. نشكر السيدة جين هوب والمتحدثين المشاركين معها على إثراء هذه الجلسة بإسهاماتهم القيمة والمثرية. تجدر الإشارة إلى أن خبراتهم ورآهم ركزت الضوء على أهمية تطوير الوقود. نود التذكير على إتمام عملية تسجيل الحضور باستخدام الباركود الموجود في بطاقة المشارك، ونود إعلامكم بوجود شركة في المنتدى، لذا نود التأكيد على أهمية حضور جميع الجلسات. أما الآن وبعد هذه الثرية والغنية بالمعرفة، ندعوكم للاستمتاع بفترة استراحة لمدة 30 دقيقة. استغلوا هذه الفترة في التواصل وتبادل الآراء والأفكار. وشكرا لكم.